Hi, my name is Shari Doherty, and I'm a lady in red, in Act 2 of my career and living my best life. My perspective on life and behaviors have been governed by who I was as a child, who I became, and who I am still striving to be. People my age are beautiful, bold, confident, and full of wisdom, and truly, the encore of the story of your life is still when the best songs are yet to be sung. My mission in this podcast is to shine the spotlight on people like me, have real conversations about reinvention stories, and inspire you to continue to follow your dreams regardless of your age. I'm doing it for Daisy. Who are you doing it for? Good day and welcome to the Encore podcast. Today, I am delighted to have my guest with me, Lyn Stafford, who is the owner of Home Transformations. She is vibrant and exciting and brings great light to any room she enters into, and she is a new friend of mine. So I'm excited to introduce you to our community today. Welcome, Lyn.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Excellent. We're really excited to share your story. So, like with everyone, if you can, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you were born and raised, what your childhood was like, and any potential highlights or lowlights that you're comfortable to share?
Sure. So I am the oldest of 7 children.
Oh my goodness, I didn't know that.
Yes. So
Wow.
that was an experience in itself right there. And I was born and raised about 40 minutes northwest of Kitchener-Waterloo.
Okay.
So basically Dutch land.
Okay.
And Mennonite land. Lots of farms. And most of my friends all came from families where they had about 6 to 12 siblings. That
Okay.
was pretty much the norm.
Big families.
Big families. And, you know, back then, we grew up in a way that was much different than today.
I imagine.
You know, a lot of us watched our parents be DIYers.
Okay.
And, you know, the Dutch community, they're really incredible with their finances and very resourceful. So I know for me, my own mother made a lot of stuff. She would make our clothing. If we needed a coffee table, she'd get out a hammer and make one.
Wow.
Yep. There was nothing that she didn't do, really.
Amazing.
And, you know, just to make life work and stay-at-home mom. My father worked full-time. He had his own company. And, but the biggest thing growing up, I noticed after I got older, was there wasn't a lot of coddling.
Okay.
Or affection or, oh, honey, what's wrong? Let's have a talk about this for, 40 minutes. There was none of that.
Right.
So it was kind of, fend for yourself. If you feel like crap, too bad, so sad, move on. The discipline was much different than it is today.
Yeah.
So, and even in the school system, like I just remember, being threatened with the strap and all these kinds of things and grabbed by the neck. And
boy.
Yes, things that we would never experience today. So I think through all of that, I kind of developed a little bit of a tough skin, through all of it. And I also I decided at that time I was just going to be happy, fun Lyn.
That's great.
Kind of ignore the rest.
Well, they do say about those of us, including you and I, who are Gen X, that we literally, no one was coddling us or caring. So we just had to tough it out. And that's why we're kind of a tough generation. And
Exactly.
I know that there used to be some social media things going around about like, why is nobody's picking on Gen X? No one wants to mess with us because we don't care.
Yeah. Right.
And we have to be tough and resilient and resourceful. A lot of us had
Exactly.
parents that weren't particularly affectionate, myself included. And we just had to learn to buck up and be happy and keep going regardless of how we were feeling. And you're right, today's generation gets a lot more attention to their happiness and their mental health. And let's talk about that and all the good things that we didn't get. So absolutely, I completely resonate with what you're saying. Was there as well. So what about high school, college, university? Did you do any of those things?
Yeah. So high school for sure. And then what I did was my best friend and I we didn't know what we wanted to do after high school. So out of the blue, we just thought, you know what, let's try hair school. That sounds like fun.
Okay.
And it's funny because even when I was younger, I always would braid, people's hair on the soccer team. I would cut my own siblings' hair, which got in trouble for a number of times. But I obviously enjoyed the whole, hair thing. So we went to hairdressing school.
Okay.
And I was in love. Like
Okay.
literally the first week, I'm like, this is my thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was scary because I was, let me think here, 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So you're kind of put in front of the public all of a
Right.
sudden. We had all these people coming in wanting their hair done, right? And literally after 2 weeks of training, we started cutting on real people and not
Really?
mannequins.
Okay.
So at that time, I had only practiced on a mannequin, and I was the first one to have to do a haircut on a real person.
Okay.
And I remember the terror, and this guy comes in, and if I didn't nick his left ear.
Oh, ouch.
So, of course, the drama, because the blood's everywhere. And, but it got kind of comical because the teacher ended up putting some kind of padding on it. No, don't worry, because on a mannequin, their ear doesn't move.
Right. And it doesn't
And you're
bleed.
supposed to move it when it's a person. So then I nicked the other side.
Oh, no.
And he looked like he had earmuffs
Oh,
with all
no.
the, and I thought, oh God, I can't do this. I'm done. That's the end. I'm awful. But I stuck with it.
Okay.
And I still to this day
Really?
do people's hair.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Interesting.
I have, yep. Yeah. Like I loved it.
Okay. So that's still part of your passion, but it's not your whole story.
That's right. And there's reasons for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know, but you should share with our listeners. So you got married, had children, built a life. What did that look like for you?
Yeah. So when we had children, we decided I would stay home.
Okay.
So what we did though is I built a hair salon in our basement.
Great.
So I ended up having clients come in a few days a week, but only mornings, a couple mornings, and then our kids would go to a daycare a couple days a week,
Okay.
just a few doors down. So it was the perfect setup. And my husband at the time was a mortgage broker.
Okay.
He was an insurance broker first and then got into mortgages.
Okay.
And so my whole job in life was family. You know, I stayed at home. I pretty much did what my mom kind of did.
Right.
And I loved it. I felt that was my calling at that time. And I took care of our home. I took care of...
How many children?
We have 2.
Okay.
Yeah. I have a daughter who's 23 now and a son who's 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
Well, something not good,
What
unfortunately.
Because it sounds like a great life.
It
And
sounds like just
most people, there's a moment of truth or a moment of change. And I know that.
Yes.
So share with us what happened.
Yeah. So during that time, what happened actually first is I went through a horrible depressive episode.
Okay.
At the beginning of our marriage, because we moved to Toronto, I was not used to that kind of culture. We moved into a place where there was gunshots going off every day. And the fear in me was obviously going up, up, up. But because of my background and this habit I had of pushing all this stuff down and let's pretend we're happy and go on with things, I buried it. But it got so bad that I started having horrible panic attacks. I'd never had that in my life.
Oh, okay.
And at the time, I'm working in these high-end salon in Toronto. I'm trying to hide all of this anxiety. But then the depression started. And I was never a depressed person. But I would wake up and actually be crying and couldn't stop it. And I thought, okay, there's something wrong with me.
Right.
Like, this can't be normal. But the thing was, it continued day after day, and it got worse and worse and worse. So long story, after 5 months, we moved back to Kingston because I wasn't well, and I actually ended up bedridden.
Wow.
I started at a salon in Kingston, and unfortunately ended up bedridden.
Oh, my
Because
goodness.
basically, there was a massive chemical imbalance happening in my brain. I knew nothing about this stuff.
Okay.
I thought you could just bike it away or think it away, pray it away. Nothing I did was working. until I went to a doctor and had to be put on medication.
Okay.
And I got my life back. But I went through 2 more episodes like this.
Okay.
And that's a whole nother story. But so that kind of went on during our family life. And one of the episodes, unfortunately, was so bad that I ended up in a psychiatric hospital.
Oh, my goodness.
So
Okay.
in Kingston on the crisis floor, they could not help me. They jacked the medicines through the roof. They came to me one morning and they said, Lyn, we need you to pack your bag. We're putting you in a cab and we're sending you to the psych hospital.
Wow.
Where they can maybe help you. And I can't even tell you how I thought my life was over.
Oh, my goodness.
My 2 children. Mommy, when are you coming home?
Right.
Mommy, please, we miss you. And I could not fake. I mean, I tried so hard to snap out of it and fake, but I couldn't do it.
Right.
And that was really hard because I was so used to being able to just, But when you have an imbalance like that, number one, it's not your fault.
Right. Good. That's a really important message. So thank you for saying that.
Yeah. And number 2, there is nothing you can do to fix yourself when you are in that serious of a state.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and I was diagnosed at the time with major depressive disorder and anxiety disorder.
Okay.
So that's just something that happened that was quite traumatic for our family. In the meanwhile, my husband at the time was living a life I didn't know about.
Oh, no.
He had many addictions
Okay.
I didn't know about.
Okay.
And he was ill
Okay.
mentally, which I saw the personality change. I saw, it all, but I wanted to believe that this couldn't be true.
Right. Okay.
The thought of my family being broken up,
Mm-hmm.
I thought I couldn't even bear the thought.
Right.
So I just tried to be positive and buffer all the different stresses going on. But it came to a point where both my children and I had anxiety disorders. And I knew we could no longer live like this. I couldn't have my children live like this. And he unfortunately struggled with alcoholism. That was one of the issues. And it was so extreme that I could no longer leave him with our children.
Oh, no. Okay.
It was that bad because the police would have to be called. And it was very bad.
That sounds very bad.
Very bad. So I felt trapped.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, this is my life. And I was my early 40s. And I thought, is this how I'm going to have to live for the rest of my life? I have so much more to do in my life.
Right.
So I kind of said to him, we love you so much, but we can't live like this anymore. Will you please get help? And unfortunately, his answer was no.
Wow.
He literally packed a suitcase,
Mm-hmm.
drove down the lane, and never came back to his family.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was such a turning point in my life. I mean, the grief I experienced was almost unbearable.
Well, the strength you have to find within just to get up and conduct the day for your children.
Yep.
That's got to come from some miracle place deep down inside you.
And I'm telling you, it did.
Right.
Because the thing about it is, I am a person of faith. And I really believe God put people in my life at that time.
Yep.
And they held me high through all of this.
Good. Okay.
And there was a time even when we were on welfare for a year.
Oh, my goodness.
And I was used to being with a businessman,
Mm-hmm.
who made good money. We were the ones giving out the coupons to people.
Right.
Or, oh, I know you're struggling. Here's, and here I was on the other end having to receive, you want to talk about humbling, right?
Yeah.
And, but I'm such a strong believer that God can take anything in our lives and use it for good. Anything.
Absolutely.
And I am an example of that. Because what happens after this is the good part of this story.
Right. Well, the person you're describing is not the person I see sitting before me today. So you're a bright light, smiling, and obviously a poster child for strength and faith. And I love that. So I love seeing that in you. So how'd you put your life back together?
Well, after that, my children and I had to move.
How old were they at the time?
My son was 13.
Okay.
Daughter 16.
Okay. Ooh, puberty. Tough time.
And very close to her father.
Right. Okay.
So not only did I have to go through the grief myself, but to watch my children. That's what almost destroyed me.
Right.
Was watching them and what they had to go through. But so we ended up having to sell the house. We had a beautiful home in the country and had to sell it all, which that's okay. Moved into town and ended up in a semi, me and the two kids. And what a godsend. I mean, that place was so perfect for the three of us. So we were living there, and I found myself sitting there going, okay, God, now what? I don't have some big career here.
Right.
I mean, now what do you want me to do? And with hairstyling, the reason I had to not be doing that full time is because I had injuries in my shoulders.
Okay.
So I was told you cannot be doing this, as much as you are.
Right.
So I had to make that shift. So that really wasn't something I could just run out and do full time, right? So what I decided to do was take a health and integrative coaching course that specialized in mental health.
Good. Okay.
Because not only did I have an interest in it because of, my family members struggle with a lot of that. I went through what it feels like, and then I had to go through this divorce. And so I wanted to understand so much more. And especially with addiction, I wanted to understand, how does a person go from this, a loving, kind, compassionate, to this, where they are the complete opposite. They're unrecognizable. I couldn't fathom it.
Right.
So I wanted to study that. And not only that, I wanted to be able to someday help others who were going through what I had to go through.
Yep.
So that's when my journey began. So I did the course, I got my accreditation, and then COVID hit.
Oh.
Fun.
Mm-hmm.
So my office was my bed on Zoom because we had a dog and these two kids, and my daughter's a singer.
Okay.
So she's belting out her Mariah Carey, and I'm in there trying to do Zoom calls, right? So I did coaching online for about, I think it was about a year during the pandemic.
Good.
Yeah. So then, what happened then is I realized how much I love to be with people in real life. And I thought, you know what? I don't think I'm a Zoom girl.
Right.
I don't like sitting behind a computer and, so then I had an opportunity to work at a drop-in center in Kingston.
Oh, okay.
As a peer support worker.
Oh, boy. Okay.
And it was a part-time position, which was perfect for me to be able to manage my life. Having the two kids, all their needs, the dog, yes, she's needy, and stay sane and go through, the grieving and the trauma, trying to heal from all of that on top of it.
You're reinventing your life.
Totally. So I worked at the center, and it was very interesting.
I bet it is.
I thought I was going in there as a support for those recovering, from addiction and struggling with mental health who wanted help. And I kind of had the idea I could maybe use some of my coaching skills. But unfortunately, I found something happen there that was very different than from what I expected. It was a lot of people not wanting help.
Really?
Like I would say, we probably about 70% were homeless that came in.
Okay.
Most would have mental illness, serious addictions, and then the other 30 would have mental illness, things like that. But I remember trying to run a group there, like things that we can do to recover on our journey. I had one girl show up.
Really?
And she didn't even have a mood disorder. And I thought, okay, So, yeah. So after that was a 4-year period.
Okay.
In the meanwhile, I meet a wonderful man.
Excellent. Okay.
And I had to date again at 45 years old
Oh, boy.
after being with someone for 23 years and married
Right.
for 21. I'm telling you, that was something else, right?
I hear a lot of stories about that.
Oh, I could have written a book on all the experiences. It was unbelievable.
Okay.
So I went through a whole lot of frogs.
Okay.
And, at my age and with what I've been through, I knew exactly what I was looking for.
Right.
And it sure wasn't somebody who had all kinds of money or looked good on the outside. I mean, if that came along with it, great, but that was not my priority. What I wanted more than anything was somebody who would be supportive of what I like to do as well.
Yep.
And who had good character. That was the most important. Someone I could
Absolutely.
trust. Somebody who was down to earth and who didn't pretend to be something he wasn't.
Right.
And so this man, whatever, reaches out to me online. And by that point, I thought, oh, man, who's this guy, right? Because I'd been through so many duds. And his photos online were him just out in the woods camping, just looking normal.
Okay.
Unlike many of the men who were holding up a big fish or
Right.
standing in the mirror with their muscles, which right then I'm like,
Not
goodbye.
interested. Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, this man, Kevin, and I got together, fell in love, and we were married 2 years ago in June of this
Oh,
year.
I love that. Okay.
And you want to talk about restoration.
Right.
Anyway, we were just so blessed.
You definitely light up when you speak about him.
Yes.
Even today or any other time I spent time with you,
Yeah.
you light up when you speak about him. So that is definitely a gift from God for, the second half of your life,
Yes.
which is beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay.
Yep.
So then you took another leap of faith,
I did.
which, you are definitely a role model for reinvention. You've had to you've either forced or by choice reinvented
Right.
yourself a number of different times. So absolutely someone our listeners should be following along and cheering you on in your journey. And so you were working at the drop-in center, but something was niggling you, I think you told me.
Yeah. So I've always had an interest in homes
Okay.
in general, how they look, in interior design, decor. If I was super rich, I'd probably be in Home Sense every week.
Okay.
I just love how it all kind of goes together. And my mother was so gifted in all of that. And so she taught me a lot about staging a house before you sell.
Okay.
And so I'd been through that process about 4 times, and I saw the value. It was like, what? I mean, these houses were selling in 1 to 2 weeks. And I thought, wow, it fascinated me, the psychology of the change that can make, right? In a
Absolutely.
sale of a home. And so I've always had that interest. So along the journey, I have done a little bit of work on the side in that. So I met a couple of realtors years ago. I would do a little bit of work for them, kind of dip my toes in it and
Yeah.
do it as a on the side kind of thing, right? But while I was working at the center, I seemed to be getting more jobs.
Okay.
And, I guess at the time, it didn't cross my mind that, I could do this full time. I just kind of thought, oh, this is fun. This is great for a little extra spending money and, whatever. But I ended up on a stress leave from the drop-in center
Okay.
because of it's extremely difficult working in a place like that because it's very depressing.
I imagine.
You don't see a lot of recovery. And not only that, you actually see the opposite.
Right.
So I would get attached to these people and I felt like I was watching them kill themselves
Aw.
every time they would come in.
Right.
So that gets tough.
Yeah.
And so I was off on a stress leave. And as I'm off on the stress leave, I get hired to do another big job, staging and painting.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, I really love this. And I've had a number of friends and my husband, why are you not just doing that? Like, do you really need to be at that center? And the center was amazing for a time. I felt I was called to be there.
Right.
I put my all into it. But that season I knew in my heart was over.
Okay.
It had been confirmed so many times, and I could detach easily, which wouldn't have happened a year ago.
Okay.
So that was another signal to me. So I dove in and I created my business.
Yay.
Yeah, in April of this year called
Okay.
Home Transformations.
Excellent.
And
And now you're out here with us, self-employed, entrepreneurial type ladies, and it's
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because, like most of us, I'm sure you don't know where your next project is coming from and therefore
Exactly.
your next paycheck.
Unpredictable.
But we all have faith that
Yes.
there will be work for us all and we will get to serve our community in the way that we're supposed to.
That's
So
right.
how's that been going for you?
So far, it's been going amazing.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and it's definitely interesting how much you learn
Yep.
when you're starting out. And I think that the biggest thing I'm learning so far is to not compare. Because
Yes.
there's been moments where I've looked at people that are so successful and I forget, okay, hello, they've been doing this for 5 years,
Right.
Lynn, and so, and each one of us is created so differently. And I think that no matter who we are, there's a purpose for us, right? And you could have 1,000 realtors, you could have 1,000 stagers, you could have 1,000 downsizing experts,
Right?
but they all have something different to offer.
Absolutely.
And I think that's so exciting,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it helps me personally to put that comparison thing away
Mm-hmm.
and go, what I have to offer people is never going to be what anybody else offers.
Right.
Simply because I'm Lynn. I'm a
Right.
different person. And so just learning, right? Learning all the different, how the marketing all works, all these things that I had not been trained in, but
Right.
I'm learning.
So being a solopreneur, which you are right now, I guess, it's very difficult because we are the CEO of everything.
That's
so,
right.
You're doing your marketing, you're doing the actual technical work, you're doing your accounting, your bookkeeping, your everything.
That's
And
right.
it definitely can be exhausting. And you're right. In my world, there's over 600 realtors in Kingston. We all have something different to offer, whether it's personality or style or values or focus. We all have something, but I resonate with enough people that, I can continue to support my family. Same with you. There are home stagers and downsizers and people who help with those sorts of things, but there will be people who find Lynn and find you for a reason because you were the one who was called to serve them. So I think that that's beautiful. And I think that we both firmly believe that. So that's wonderful.
Yes.
And as you're looking forward, what does future Lynn and future home transformations look like to you?
Yeah. So I have lots of visions of what it could be.
Right?
And, but I feel that down the road, because I have to think realistically, physically too, right? I would love to be able to have younger people come in and be able to train them to do the work.
Right.
For example, there's a lot of students I've heard of over this summer who were not able to get jobs.
Yep.
And I thought, this, like I do a lot of painting, for example. I would love to be able to say to them, hey, you want to come in and, I'll have you do this, that. And so that would be, what I kind of envision for the future. And to be honest, I don't know.
That's okay.
And that part for me is very difficult because I'm a planner. I
Right.
like to know what's going to happen. I like everything, And that is the biggest challenge, I think, of running your own business is we don't always know.
Nope.
We don't know what doors will open and we don't know what doors will close.
Right.
So it's
Which pretty
know?
much is life. as
Oh.
much as we can,
Yeah,
think
you're
we
right.
have it mapped out and we think we have a plan for what our future or what our retirement or what our families are going to look like. And somewhere out of the blue, something happens that was unexpected and we have to pivot and respond and be resilient and be strong. And you're beautifully doing it in so many ways.
Well,
You've
not
demonstrated.
alone. I can tell you, not alone.
Right. You
You
have
know.
a great community, great family, great husband, and your
Mm-hmm.
faith that guides you, obviously.
Yes.
If you could go back and tell young Lyn anything about either what your life was going to look like or some advice for yourself, what would that be?
Ooh, that is a good. I got to think about that question. I think it would just be know that God created you for a purpose. He gave you the personality you have for a reason.
Right?
Don't be ashamed of that.
Right?
And be confident in who He's created you to be, no matter what you end up doing in your life.
Right.
And do not compare to anyone else, because everyone's unique.
Right.
Everyone's different.
Everyone's on their own journey for
That's
sure.
right.
100%.
Because I've probably compared myself since I was young.
We all
you
do.
know, to the friends and then to the mothers. Oh, I'm not a good enough mom. And then to this, so
We all
So,
of us
yeah.
suffer that for sure.
yeah.
Okay. If people wanted to get in touch with you, how would they do that? Where would they find you and Home Transformations?
Yeah. So I have a website,
Excellent.
hometransformations dot. Oh man, you think I'd memorize this? .net.
Mercier or net?
Yeah. I definitely have a Facebook page,
Okay.
and all my information's there under Home Transformations,
Right.
and email, phone number, all that stuff's there.
Perfect.
So, yeah,
And you're available and ready to serve our community.
I am.
Okay.
Yes, very excited about it.
Well, thank you for joining us today and so honestly and openly sharing your story with us. You are absolutely an inspiration to me, and I know you will be to our listeners as well, who appreciate, hearing, like many people, we go through some tough stuff and we go through some great stuff, and we continue to respond and be resilient. And we're still, both of us are over the age of 50, and we're still looking forward and have big dreams and big plans for ourselves and our family. So I so appreciate your time today. Thank you, Lyn.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.